What's up, everybody? Welcome to our second installment of Deep Dive Scream, presented by Pop Culture Pros. Yes, we tweaked the name just a smidge there that we were talking about last week, but we're all good now. And thanks for joining us on this Wednesday evening as we count down to the release of Scream 6 tomorrow. So the excitement's in the air. I know Jada's excited. I know Jane's excited. And we can't wait to get this
finally here. I needed Scream 6 right after Scream 5 finished.
As soon as a week later, you wanted it. Huh? Like a week later, you wanted it.
Yeah, no. Literally, it finished, and I'm like, yo, give me 6 right now. Give me 6 right now. So
that's how I felt after Kill Bill back in the day when I saw Volume 1. I'm like, bastards, you needed 2 right away because it was supposed to be one long movie. But
yep.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us tonight. We're super amped for this, and we're also really excited to give away 2 free passes via Fandango, courtesy of Pop Culture Pros, to see Scream 6 this opening weekend. So we'll be doing that through some trivia questions that we pulled in the experts to bring. So you better go ahead and bring some of the knowledge there for that.
How mean do we want to get, Janine? How mean do we want to get?
I know. I mean, we could go real hard.
We could go really mean.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to you guys. You could see how you go with this. But so thanks for joining us again. If you are checking us out on Pop Culture Pros, whether it's the Facebook live stream or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or wherever you found your audio-only podcast, we always appreciate the support. Tonight we'll be talking about Scream 3 and 4 with gentlemen who you're very familiar with on Pop Culture Pros. Jada, what's up, man?
Back, baby. Nothing. Excited as usual to talk my favorite franchise. We're diving into the
divisive.
I can speak right now. I'm so tired, guys. I don't know if you know my journey yesterday. Obviously, I don't know if you guys saw on Facebook that we were supposed to do this show yesterday. I flew from Miami to Newark to Dallas. Then I had to drive 5 hours back home, and I landed in Dallas in the middle of. I didn't know how bad Dallas traffic got, but it's pretty insane.
Oh no!
And then as soon as I landed, I plugged in the GPS to see my ETA, and it was almost like a 6-hour drive. And I was like, "Hey guys, I don't think this is gonna happen today." Yeah. 10 o'clock, almost 10:30 show for poor old Ed. He's like, "Dude, I gotta work, man." but I'm so hyped because these are the films that kind of 1 and 2 are genuinely like loved. Overall, some people obviously there's always haters out there, but 3 and 4 seems to be the ones that either people really love one and really hate it. So it's pretty excited to do a little deep dive of these 2 films. So thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, and with us again is Janine. Join us on Pop Culture Pros. Janine, what's up?
Hey, thank you for having me. I love Scream. Me and Jada were going off last time, so I'm ready to get into these films, like he said.
I'm gonna let Ed talk more this time, I promise.
Sorry, we kind of took over.
No, listen, I was taken aback. I'm like, listen, I like these movies, but these guys are on another level, and I was kind of enjoying it. I felt like I was one of the people just.
He was a viewer. He was like, "Tell me." I was like,
"Look at this crap.
Go off.
This is pretty cool, man."
But really excited. Like he said, these movies are definitely more divisive and did some different things that maybe people either love or hate. So I'm really excited to get into that.
All right. Yep. And if you are enjoying the show, you can go ahead and drop us some support by sending some stars, and it's a digital gift to help us help Pop Culture Bros, continue to grow out there. So go ahead and be sure to do that as well. And we will be dropping in those trivia questions for the free Scream 6 passes throughout it. So just stay tuned and we'll jump into that. But to get things started right off the bat, because we are breaking this down, it's a 3-episode little mini series that we got going here. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into Scream 3. Would you guys say this is the most divisive film of the franchise so far?
Yes.
It's between both of them, but I want to say if I had to pick between 3 and 4, I want to say probably 3. 3 is.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, it is hated by many. It is loved by many. I, for one, have grown to appreciate this film more and more the more I watch it. It's not that it gets like that much better for me, but every time I watch it, I just appreciate. I loved it. Honestly, came out when I was in middle school when it came out. So I saw it. I think I said this last time. I saw it opening night. Actually, I had mentioned to you guys that I had brought my aunt to see Scream 2.
Yeah.
And the opening scene was Scream 2 with Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps and that whole thing. So when we go back for 3, crazy enough, that movie was dead when I went to go see it. No pun intended. But it was honestly a dead theater opening weekend. And I remember, and I went to a late showing, but not that late. It was probably like a 9:00 showing when I went to go see it. And I saw it Friday night, the night it came out. It was before midnight releases and Thursday showings and all that. And again, my aunt, when we sat down, freaks out because in this time, instead of having all the crazies out, there was nobody out. But I guess someone got into the movie a little late and decided, it's a whole empty theater, and they decided to sit behind us.
Oh my gosh!
So it kind of like
kind of know where this went. I know where this went now.
Freaked her out, and she's like, "I'm leaving," and I'm like, "Sit down, man." And I'm like, "This movie hasn't started yet. Sit down." I will tell you this. I know we're jumping straight to the reveal. Well, I am. This reveal was sort of spoiled for me. Oh. So I had a friend that saw it earlier that day and called me, and he was just a dick to be a dick. And God rest his soul, because he actually passed away last year. Oh, wow. But he was one of those guys I would just like kind of get a laugh at. He didn't spoil it per se. He just said, "Oh, you want to know the killer is?" I'm like, no, shut up. I'm like, no. Yeah. And he was like, "Well, it's her brother," but he didn't tell me who was her brother.
Who it was, so you knew it was a guy. Okay. It's one killer.
Yeah. So it was kind of ruined for me, where I was only looking at the dudes the whole time, right? Yeah. And the brother thing and all that. So I had already gone in where he was like, "Oh, it's one guy," and I'm like, "Dude, come on, man." Oh. But so it was kind of ruined for me when I went to go see this movie. It didn't take away from it. And again, as a teenager, when I went to go see this movie, even then I was like, out of the 3, it was my least favorite, but it was still for me a good film. Then I had a stage in my life where I kind of really didn't like it, where I would kind of want to skip it on my rewatches, and I just wouldn't see it. And then lately, I don't know, I think it's for the past year or a couple months, actually, I want to say like a couple months, where I hated it, and then I was like, no, you know what, they were onto something here. And I really liked how they again, the meta references and all that stuff, as Scream usually does, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. So
I think this is definitely like the year where people are kind of, even last year was kind of people coming around on it. Like I remember watching James A. Jennings talk about like how he hated this movie, and then in kind of watching it, he actually loves it more than 2. And when he did his ranking, he had 2 ahead of this, and then he changed his mind and like has so much fun with this movie. So I think a lot of people, I felt that shifting, kind of really appreciating it, and just seeing the fun in it, because Jennifer Jolie, like Parker Posey, just makes that movie
probably honestly
so much fun. One of the best parts of the movie.
The main 3, right? And if we're talking like newer characters, Parker Posey's character, she's just so great in this, and I love her in this. and then I'll mention my other character in Scream 4, which you can already guess who it is. But yeah, same thing. And I honestly, it was one of those, you know, kind of like thinking about it, and I thought it was just such a shocker to start this movie with the death of Cotton Weary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
because he
was
was just he was just kind of getting started. Like he got exonerated, and was kind of doing thriving hot girlfriend, #1 show, 100% Cotton,
100%
like
Cotton.
doing good for himself after being accused, and thinking he's gonna like go on.
There's a whole 180, and then the whole thing with Sydney ending part 2 saying talk to Cotton, he's the real hero, and then the whole
and giving him
kind of like
his shine.
sets it up like this is gonna be if he comes
his
back.
moment. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
That was probably the thing I appreciated most about this movie is the balls to kill off Cotton Weary in the opening scene. Like he was like the big star, say, to get nixed in the opening scene. Like I was mentioning before, Janine, that I actually didn't remember a lot about these two. They were very foggy for me.
Yeah.
But certain things I did remember. Like I remembered that Jay and Silent Bob were in this movie as a like bizarre cameo, which started raising a whole bunch of other nerdy, stupid questions.
Wes Craven is in that very scene. Wes Craven, as they turn around and he turns around with a camera, and he's got a camera, and he turns around, and it's Wes Craven right in the center, like in between Jay and Silent Bob. You see him right in the center.
Okay,
so Wes Craven's in that scene too. Yeah,
pretty dope. But and as a big like Kevin Smith fan, like Jay and Silent Bob, I was excited to see them. Like when I first saw this movie, but then now I'm watching, I'm like,
why?
Besides Miramax, what the fuck are they doing in this movie?
Yeah,
like this raised so many questions. Like, wait a second, is Scream in the Jersey Chronicles now? Is that? Like,
I heard they had an agreement, like they had this shared like cameo agreement between their movies, so that's why Wes Craven ended up.
Wes Craven was in Jay and Silent Bob, with Shannon Doherty and Monkey being Ghostface.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So the beginning of this, honestly, when they killed Cotton, I'm like, what are they doing? What's going? Like, I was shocked, to be honest with you. I'm like, they killed Cotton Weary. This is nuts. This movie's going to be insane. But again, a lot of issues with this film. So I want to talk more about, I don't know if you know behind the scenes of what went down with this movie.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know who the original killer was. I know Janine knows, but
well, we know that. That's a given.
There was like script leak issues, so they had to kind of change things last minute. This is the only film not written by Kevin Williamson. So he had a treatment that he thought about, and then Aaron Kruger, who ended up taking over, funny, his last name's Kruger, took over kind of writing duties. So they had to keep changing things because of script leaks.
So there's actual lines in the film, again, you just saw it recently, where they're like, has there been another script change? How are we supposed to learn our lines? That was real deal stuff.
What was going on? Yeah.
I assumed that. Because you mentioned something about that last week, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Super next level meta stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Exactly it. So it's one of those where so all right. So there was a leak where the original script that leaked, if I'm not, Kevin Williamson had written a Scream 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Stu,
they actually hired Matthew Lillard
and paid Matthew Lillard to come back to do his. He was supposed to be in jail and
have like this cult of these cult
high
followers.
School students,
cult
followers. But since Columbine happened, they Hollywood did not want anything with kids killing high school kids being murderers or any of that stuff, and that's why this film was actually toned down with the violence. If you notice that this movie's not really violence, it's stab and go. It's stab.
Yeah, you don't really see a lot of blood, and
not a lot of blood in this movie. Is because they wanted almost no blood until Wes Craven said, "Dude, this is a horror movie. Like I can't do that."
Yeah, and then you have a cameo of Roger Corman in here talking about violence.
Which is insane.
Roger Corman of the Fantastic Four film that was made to not be released.
But so they had this whole ordeal. I think originally there was I know there was 2 Ghostface. I don't know if Roman was supposed to be it originally.
I think it was Roman and Angelina.
And I know Angelina for sure. So
yeah, I think it was always Roman and her. Yeah.
Okay, so I know Angelina for sure, and I know obviously she's like one of the biggest red herring besides McDreamy. So McDreamy, the whole time I thought it was him.
I thought this time around, because I actually forgot who the damn killer
was. I forgot who it was. I'm like, bro, he borrows Dewey's phone. He just shows up out of nowhere. It happens, and I'm like, dude, come on, man. He has Sydney's files. What's going on, dude? Yeah. So the whole time, I thought it was him. The reveal for me, right? I kind of went like, who? Like I can like Roman.
You forgot,
like, forgettable character.
Yes. Like I've always felt like there should have at least been one scene of him and Sydney meeting.
Always.
And I said the even same thing. Though you maybe would have been suspicious of him, he fakes his death later, so then that would have erased him from your mind.
Yeah.
Because that's like what happened with Billy in the first one. Obviously, Billy's so obvious the whole time, and then the fake out death, you're like, okay, I was wrong. Until the reveal. So they could have done something like that with Roman, like Roman maybe going to her and not being all whiny about his film getting canceled, but really like saying, hey, Sydney, nice to meet you. I'm actually kind of glad the movie got canceled. Because it's not fair for people to be exploiting off your life, and having a nice moment with her. She would think, oh, that's really sweet of you, whatever. So at least they met each other, and she would think this is a nice guy who understands me.
Like, he does a reveal. She's like, "Who are you, bro?"
Yeah, like she looks at him. Who is you?
Who are you, bro? I feel. You know what? I honestly, and this is like, I mean, there's plenty of films that you think that way. One of the. I went back when I saw Force Awakens. I know we're steering way to the right. I had that thing with Kylo and Han Solo, where I'm like, they really didn't have a scene to make me really
establish that relationship.
That relationship. So when it happens, you're like, all right, I know who you are. But even when he's carrying Rey back to the ship and he sees him from afar, if he had screamed "Ben!" like something like that to like get that emotion going, I'm like, damn, that would have been a little bit better than what we actually got. I feel the same way about this reveal. I like Roman on paper, if that makes sense, because he kind of pulls everything off by himself, which is
the
crazy
only one
to do. The only one to do it. Good motive. The reason why everything starts, even though I feel like it's not canon
it takes something away from the greatness of Billy and Stu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they never mention Roman ever again.
Yes, like, even in Scream 5, like Gail is like, Gail is like, this is all my fault. I never should have written that book. And she's like, no, it's not your fault. Billy Loomis did all of this. Like,
exactly.
Like, wait, did Sid forget about him too? Like,
exactly. Yes. So that's the only thing about this movie where I'm like, I feel like he's the most hardworking Ghostface, obviously, but I feel like he's the most forgettable just because we didn't have a lot of great scenes besides him bitching about his movie the whole time.
Yes.
Right?
Man, I literally forgot about him, honestly. Like, I was like, wait a second, she had a brother, that's right, and I think there's a killer, but who the hell was her brother? And I'm just going along with it, and I don't know. I didn't love the character either. And I don't know if I love the reveal of like the random brother out of nowhere.
Yeah.
In the
and then,
film. Felt very soap opera-ish to me.
Mm-hmm. And the way she like had no idea who he was. So then it just kind of, and this big like musical sting when he takes off the mask. And then she's just like, it felt weird.
We were sitting there that, who are you?
Who are you? Yes. But like, it's just a testament to Neve Campbell being able to sell it. So like when he's whining and bitching about stuff and she's just calling him out and telling him to take some accountability and stop whining. I've heard this shit before. It's like, so
stop being a bitch, man.
Yes. And then like, I love the fight. I think it's one of the best, like Sydney with Ghostface, like physical fights.
I can get with that.
Yeah, like with the ice pick,
nod to all
the Sharon Stone references. But like they are really like punching each other. They're like brutal in that
sibling rivalry at its best.
Yes, it's like we can't show a lot of stabbings or violence, but we're gonna have them beat the shit out of each other. So I love how physical. I think it's the most physical, since the first film, a fight that Sydney has had. So I really liked how they were just kind of going crazy, punching each other and going crazy on each other. So that final fight was pretty good.
There was a couple of things that happened in this movie that I felt like were extremely convenient. I mean, especially the gas house explosion.
Yes.
Wait, so hold on a second. So you really planned it out where he couldn't see and was going to need to light the freaking lighter?
The variables
really?
that had to like work out so that
had
death
to
could
work out
happen
perfectly fine.
is so dumb. It's like,
Yeah.
I think Ignore was just like, this is the third movie. They thought this was going to be the final film in the trilogy. It was billed as the last film.
Trilogy, yeah.
What do we do to make it big? Let's have a big explosion for the trailers and everything else. So they just needed an explosion for the sake of having an explosion in the big third final movie. But the way they went about making that happen was just so stupid. It made
all right,
no
I'm glad
sense.
I'm not the only one. I thought I was being too picky here.
It wasn't that dark. Like,
no,
dude,
it wasn't.
Just that's it. That's all you had to do. Just look a little bit more forward, dude. That's it.
Yeah.
You would have. Tom would have been alive. Just saying. Tom
that pissed me off.
Down.
There was another little detail that really annoyed me is that Sydney has an alarm on her front defense in the beginning of the film. Like, I'm like, so
over the fence?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait, so that's it. So don't open my gate, but you can jump over. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. I always think she take that $10,000 from the interview to buy that fancy ranch house from Scream 2?
Oh, for sure. 100%. That's how else is she's not making it off of being like, a counselor.
Laura from the call center, man.
Like, no, they're not paying that kind of money.
But then, I mean, if you look at that Prescott house, Neil's, I don't know what you do for work, Neil, but you making the big bucks. So either Neil got it for her.
He travels a lot.
Yeah. So, or she took that $10,000 from that Diane Sawyer interview and
100%
invested 100%. Into that house.
But I like the again. You know what? Carrie Fisher being in the film.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That was such a fun cameo.
That was an awesome cameo. And so unexpected. I remember I'm like, is that Princess Leia? And then she's like, no.
And then she's like, no.
She's like, no. And I'm like, yes,
my whole career. Yeah, I've been getting that.
I love that. That was like meta Scream level stuff. What did you guys think of the reveal of Stu's video? I thought it was Randy's video. My bad. Yeah. Randy's video.
I thought it was a really smart way to bring him back to have Randy there. Okay. It was great to see because I was not expecting to see him at all, and I took Randy's death very hard because I loved that character, and just felt so bad for him that he was the unrequited love slave of Sidney Prescott. And so just getting to see him was such a cool surprise. I thought it was a smart way to bring him back. Obviously, it felt very real to the character. He would do something like that. So I thought it was perfect. I loved the way.
Was he wearing the same clothes that he died in?
Yeah,
he is, right? It's that day. Yeah, I think so too. Every time I see it, I'm like, is it? Is it not? Because it looks like he's wearing the same shirt. Oh no.
I think it's the day from the film class. The film class.
That's what it was. I'm sorry. That's what it was. Yeah. Because he's wearing a jacket in the when he dies.
Yeah.
You're right.
Another thing I thought it was, and I think it's just because watching it now, the whole thing with John, the producer with John Milton, the way he tells the story about Sydney's mother, kind of felt very. Am I connecting too much with Harvey Weinstein?
I'm not the only one. Harvey Weinstein. Yes, I'd like to think Wes did that on purpose. That maybe he was aware of the rumblings in Hollywood and just threw that in there. And surprisingly, they didn't object to any of that dialogue.
Yeah, which is crazy. Which is crazy to me because I figured they would have been like, no, that can't be in the film. Like, how are you gonna expose Hollywood like that? But maybe it just went over their head. I don't know.
They didn't think about it, or they didn't look
now.
At that scene.
And I'm like, Milton is Harvey Weinstein, and it's insane that that's who produced this film,
right? And to have that full character exist,
as I'm watching it, I'm just cringing in it. I'm with my wife watching this. I'm like, oh my god, it's Harvey Weinstein.
Yes. Yeah. And as I watched it, I saw them again. I saw them all last week, back to back. I saw them in 2 days with my little brother to prepare for tomorrow. Since I was leaving on the trip, I didn't know when I was gonna have time to watch them. So I'm like, dude, let's just knock them out now. And I kind of mentioned that to him, and he goes, dude, you're completely right. He's like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, that sucks. That sucks.
All right, so I'm just glad I'm not the only one seeing this. I feel good that the Scream super fans are all in with this.
Oh no, we were fully aware of how weird that was, and would like to think it was Baby West trying to expose.
He was like the one guy when he got his final cut thing, and then they slit his throat. Where I was like,
Yes.
Do it, you fucking pig.
Also took it as a little bit of stunt casting as well, as that whole aliens was a very big
Lance
topic
Henriksen.
in the film class scene in 2. So have Lance Henriksen in 3. So I thought that was a fun casting as well.
And I also there was another little thing that annoyed me with this was I thought it was a matter of convenience where there was a knife throw towards the end of the film that happened to go ahead and hit the handle. I'm like, dude, really? Come on.
And it just looks so goofy. Yeah.
So this is the one Scream film that my brother was like, dude, no, this ain't it, man. He's like, I understand why they needed to make 4 because I told him, originally it was supposed to be a trilogy.
Just these 3,
it didn't come out till like 11 years later, right? 11, 2000,
2011,
mm-hmm. 11 years later. And I told him it was a long time until we got another Scream film, and this was supposed to be it. It was supposed to be just a trilogy, and that's that. And then he's like, they needed to like redeem themselves. He's like, this was like for me like the ending of Dexter all over again, dude.
Oh my!
He's like,
wow!
He's like,
because the tone is completely different.
He did not like Scream 3 whatsoever. And I told him, I'm like, oh, I don't. I'm like, I hated it for a long time. I'm like, upon rewatches, it gets better. It accepts. You have to accept what it is. Scream kind of accepted. It went for goofy. It kind of did go for
more comedic tone. I mean, Wes kept the characters feeling like the characters, but the tone, because it wasn't Kevin Williamson, did not feel like the same tone as the other two.
Even when they're they pair Gail and Jennifer together, even the music choices, there's like kind of like boom, boom. It felt like Pink Panther shit.
Like very silly, like goofy sleuthing comedy.
Exactly. I was like, all right. It felt like the less scary, even though it has for me one of the creepiest scenes, which is Sydney's mom.
Ghost Maureen. She got through the security gate just
dude. So she scared the shit out of me being a teen. I was like, ugh. Like I remember I tend to watch movies kind of like leaning forward if there's no recliner. I watch movies like this and I kind of went like
it made you like want to get away from the screen.
No me gusta.
She was definitely the most disturbing thing in this movie.
Yeah, and they brought it was the original actress from Scream 1, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So
how did you guys feel about that? Like in total, like besides her being creepy, like the idea that Sydney's having like visions.
I mean, I like the idea of her still having trauma from everything she had kind of been through. And it made her kind of facing it and jumping into the fire feel that much more like Sydney's such a badass. Like she's having all this trauma. She's still even now discovering things about her mom that she didn't know. Because that was kind of the kicking off of this whole thing. So I like that they tried to infuse even more things that she had to discover about her mom and her past. And her kind of just deciding to, I'm going to go and, kick ass and face my fear, despite everything I'm going through and the anxiety I'm having about all of this. It made her, feel even stronger of a character. So I didn't mind it. I think a lot of people maybe have a problem with Ghost Maureen, but I liked kind of that being an illustration of her trauma. So
no, I agree. I don't mind it at all. Now I have a question for you. When she goes back to the set, right, that she wasn't supposed to the Sydney's hot set, Sydney's room or whatever, and she gets attacked by Ghostface, right, and then she sees the mom murder scene and someone gets up. Is that still Roman?
See, I don't know.
That part confuses me all the time.
Yes, like, is it her seeing that, or is it Roman fucking with her? Is
she hallucinating, or is it Roman fucking with
her?
her?
I know. I don't think I ever really thought about what. Yeah, it always confused me too. I always tried to read it.
Yeah, I didn't even
the logistics of Roman. Yeah, the logistics of Roman being by himself. I don't think he could like.
It doesn't make sense.
All of that,
especially if he flew out the freaking window, because she like tosses him or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. But when she sees that, I'm like, that has to be her mind. It cannot be him. It makes no sense to me that it would be him. But someone's like, no, it's definitely Roman. I'm like, it doesn't explain how, Sway. I'm like, man. But overall, Tyson. We have to talk Tyson.
Oh yeah.
We have to talk Tyson, man. Another, I think, very, very smart written character.
Yes, our Randy
They
stand-in,
are the
like,
Randy stand-in, and I loved how he was the one that was like always like, mm-mm,
yeah,
I ain't doing this shit again, man. I mean, not again, but I'm like, I'm like, do you not see like everything that's fuck, bro.
happening here,
Everything
yeah.
that's going on happening here is like, what the hell are we doing here? Like,
But then him
and
also being like, I'm a black actor. I can't afford to just be giving up parts as well. Like speaking to like, him as a young black actor trying to, this is like a big movie for him. And even though all this craziness is happening, like it's still like I'm desperate, like in my career wise, there's not a
yeah,
lot of parts for people like me. So, I gotta try to make this work somehow. So
no,
like
yeah,
even the little bit that he gets, I like that, they give him a personality, they give him some commentary on some stuff. And he tried to get away, sadly.
almost
Yeah,
did, man, almost
almost. That
did.
carpet,
Yeah.
got him.
But
I think one of the things that annoyed the shit out of me during this entire movie, and it really did when I first saw it, more than anything, is what is going on with Gail's hair.
you can blame David Arquette for that, my friend.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a story behind this that I don't know?
Yeah.
Because it pissed me off
They had
every
just
time
gotten
I've
married,
seen this.
and he told her, "Yeah, like cut your bang short, and it'll be like this pin-up Betty Page kind of look."
Page. Yeah.
And then it's crazy.
It was like it felt like she cut it like this. Like
Yeah, instead of just like straight
like,
across.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I felt like she went in to get her hair cut and then had to leave in the middle of it or
she
something
just
like
turned
that.
her face very quick.
Yeah, she just moved and like, oh well,
yes.
I guess I'm
the
out.
bangs are our thing. She even like mentions the bangs.
He mentions it in Scream 5.
In Scream 5.
Yes.
When he's first. Oh, okay, you caught that. Yeah,
Yes.
cool.
No, I caught that.
We'll talk about
that.
But I found that I laughed so hard. I think so. I obviously we'll talk about this a little later, but when we do the Scream 5 episode, but briefly, when I went to go see that movie, I saw it really early. I think I saw it almost like 2 weeks before it came out or something like that. I saw it really early.
Yeah.
And I was picking up on so many cues being a super fan of this film. And even when she mentioned that, I laughed so hard because I'm like, classic Gail,
Yeah.
And the whole theater was just quiet.
Like, me too.
Like,
when she's like, and the bangs. If I want to do that again, somebody please stage an intervention. And I'm just like, oh my
god!
And
I laughed so hard
at that.
Just
like really
and
quiet.
Everyone's like, so I remember. Well, I'll say that for episode 5. Never mind, I'll stay quiet. We'll say that for episode 5. But yeah, overall, like I said, this movie, I think it was my aunt's favorite because she said that it was the least scariest one, and she could watch it.
Funny.
It was my brother's definitely least favorite. He hated it. He's like, I'm never gonna watch this movie ever again. This movie sucked. In fact, it was so bad for him that he kind of did not want to continue to watch 4 or 5
because he was worried.
Because he was like, if they're just gonna keep getting, he's like, nothing has stopped the first one. So he's like, the second one was good, and he goes, the third one sucks. I feel like they're declining. They're on a decline.
Oh no.
So I would give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, some of you 2 for 3 at this point. I'll give you a chance to rebound, and I would assume Kevin Williams is writing it. Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to give you a shot. Everyone has a bad day at the office once in a while, right? Like, you can do that. It happens.
Yeah.
I will say probably my least favorite part of this movie is the voice changer. The voice changer just felt like a very lazy way to get characters where you needed them to be. Like, come up with something more creative. And this technology doesn't even exist today.
I was going to say, how advanced is this voice changer that they got?
It sounds perfectly like everyone. Yeah.
And and I'm on rewatch. I said
very
this
lazy.
The other time that I reviewed this film, I couldn't state this enough that how much I hated this voice changer, and it bothers me till this day. And even now, when I watched it last week, I'm like, stupid. I'm like, stupid.
So dumb.
Yes. But yeah, it was just a very, very convenient way of just again getting everybody there. Even and it was getting to the point where every phone call was like, that's Ghostface, that's Ghostface, that's Ghostface. Like,
yeah.
Excuse me. You couldn't even believe who's who. Like at that point, I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But so this whole time, as I'm watching, the whole voice changer thing and everything, I'm like, you know who can get technology? The police. It's Kincaid. The whole time I'm like,
That might have been another nod to get him to be the number one suspect, and
confiscated this or something.
Yes, and that was annoying too. Like the romance, that they were trying to play at. It just didn't work. So then when he's at the house later with the popcorn, I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
What are you doing here, cop? Get out of my house.
Right? Oh, hey, Sydney, we're gonna watch a movie. It just felt so forced. I wanted that for our girl. I want her to be happy. I want her to find love and all of that. And it's McDreamy. He's looking good. If you're gonna get a man, get McDreamy. And I wanted it. I want my romance loving heart wanted that to work so bad, and it just didn't. Even in Scream 5, when I heard, oh, Mark and the kids, I got excited and then remembered oh, that guy.
No, I was happy. I think I was just happy just to hear an old character's name.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh shit, it's Mark.
I was so excited.
Mark is fine with the kids. I don't know if you picked that up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, and then you watch the movie and you're like, they were really trying to push this little chemistry thing, and it just did not play. They should have.
Maybe it happened. It happened afterwards because he's no mention of him in 4.
No.
Maybe
he reconnected.
The conqueror over there,
Yeah. So I wanted it to work because I love that kind of romance vibe and whatever, but
these two work.
These two work. They had just gotten married. When they filmed this, and we were just back from their honeymoon. So they were perfect. But Kincaid and Sydney just they could have worked it to where it was more subtle. And it just didn't. It just didn't play well.
So I mean, we do like this film, right? Because we keep.
I was about to say. Despite liking it, really have a lot of issues with it. I mean, I know I have a lot of issues with it.
Yes.
But,
I mean,
so
again, as Scream fans, it's okay to say that the movie was not as great as the other two.
I love every Scream movie. I don't hate a single Scream movie. I love every Scream movie. I don't think there is a bad Scream movie, but obviously there are ones that are better than others.
Yeah, I agree.
See, and that's better than I can say, because some franchises that I really hold close, I despise the ones that I despise. Yeah. And I think it's because I love the franchise so much that I'm like, fuck you for ruining my movie.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, I hate the 5th one more than anything. Yeah. It's so bad. It's unwatchable.
That was me, honestly, just even a couple years ago with Scream 3. I wouldn't like this movie, even though I had seen it so much. This is one of the videos that I did not return to Blockbuster because I rented it and kind of Blockbuster was just going downhill. And I was just like, I'm keeping Scream 3 because I would watch it all the time. And even as I was watching, I'm like, this movie's so bad. Why do I keep watching it? But it was just because
it's Scream. It's those characters you love them. World.
Yeah. And it was just part of that trilogy that I would have to watch and have to watch. And I would watch. I've seen 1, 2, and 3 way more than I've seen 4 and 5, obviously. But I saw them so many times for so many years, all the time. I would do a rewatch, and I'm talking about once a year or anything. I would rewatch these movies at least once or twice a month. It was constant. You know how people put on Friends or The Office just as background noise?
Mm-hmm.
That's how Scream was for me. It was my background noise, except I had a VHS that I would have to rewind because I had all 3 of them on VHS. I had Scream 1, 2, and 3 on VHS, and then I got the Blu-ray. I got the DVDs, and then I got the Blu-rays when the 3 came out and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But it was my comfort background noise, hearing people, screaming, getting butchered, and Ghostface talking that shit.
Must be very American Psycho. Very Patrick Bateman right there with Texas Chainsaw in the background.
It was my shit, man. It was what I loved to watch, and even though it was my least favorite of the 3,
it's funny that you would still have this need to watch it, even though you didn't like it. It's just because the characters, you love that world, you love this trio of characters being together, you love seeing Ghostface, just the whole vibe of that film, being back there. I think it's just
insane.
It's strong enough to keep you there.
So overall, like I said, don't hate it, don't love it. It's just very in the middle for me. But I do. There was a time when 4 came out where I would skip watching 3 because I felt like there was honestly nothing really happened in 3 that gets mentioned in any of the other sequels. They always mention,
true.
The other ones where I'm like, 3 is one that you can definitely skip if you want to do a quick little rewatch. But I don't know if you have any final thoughts, or we could just, obviously move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no final thoughts, but I do want you to throw out a trivia question there. And for anyone who is watching who answers this, we'll go ahead and let you know if you know what's going on with that, and we will go ahead and send you. We'll get your email, we'll talk, and we'll get you these pass for the Fandango so you can see Scream 6 this weekend. So,
should we do a Scream 3 trivia? Scream
yeah,
1,
go with one from 3.
I mean, I have a question in my head.
Let's do it. Go.
Ask.
Oh, okay. All right. So here it is. If you're watching, here's your first shot at one of the Scream 6 passes from Pop Culture Pros.
Okay. And you guys can tell me if it's too hard and you maybe want to pick an easier one. But my question is, what is Jennifer Jolie's real name?
Okay. So there you go. Repeat one more time before we move on, because we will come back to this and we will try to get this person passes.
What is Jennifer Jolie, Parker Posey's character's real name?
All right. So name. Go ahead, find it out how you got to find it out, and come drop us a comment, and we'll let you know if you are winning one of the passes. And we'll save the second pass for when we're wrapping up Scream 4.
Scream 4.
So, at that time, let's switch our little background here to Scream 4, and let's go. So, now we're up to Scream 4, and a film that I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this way more than I remember enjoying it, and I only saw this once in the theater, and I didn't go back to watch it again because I disliked it. I don't know why. I just have no.
A lot of people did.
This was my first Scream in the theater, and like you said with Scream 3, when I went to see Scream 4, it was empty. Nobody was there, and I'm like, this is like such a beloved franchise. Like, they did so many cool things. How is nobody as excited to see that it's back after all this time, that Wes is back, that everyone's back? Like, how is nobody excited to see this? How is nobody like interested to see where these characters are this many years later? Like, literally, yeah, there was nobody in this theater, and I just was so confused. Even if you like, didn't, I just don't understand. Like, I was just so perplexed that
I was upset too.
Yeah, I was like, why?
I think I mentioned it in our last episode. Same thing. I obviously super Scream fan, right? And hearing that they were gonna make another one after so long, I was so excited, but at the same time, I'm like, are we good with it? Like, is it time for a new Scream? Do we need another Scream? Not that it ended like perfectly or anything like that, but I was good with the ending that we did get. Ooh. We got a winner.
Yes, that is correct.
That is correct. You know what? I had a feeling that honestly she was gonna get it, because that's my little buddy right there, Nicolette. Yes. Shout out to you, my love. Thank you for watching. She loves this franchise so much, so that is awesome. Good shit.
So, Nicolette, you are the winner of our first pass. So go ahead and drop us a comment, or we got to get your email address, and we will go ahead and send you the link to your email for the pass for Fandango. So congratulations, and we will go ahead and get the second pass out. So stay tuned with us, and at the end of the Scream 4 discussion, we will go ahead and drop that one. So Nicolette, congrats. Nice job.
Yes.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So yeah, we'll reach out. But yeah, so it was time to when it was finally coming out, I was as hyped as you see me hyped for this one. For 5, it's always the same thing, and it's always going to be the same thing. Even for Scream 10, if it decides to go that long, I'm going to get excited.
When time travel is introduced, right?
Oh my god, that's hate.
That is by far the worst.
but so going to this movie, I couldn't see it that Thursday night. I forgot what was the reasoning, but I went to the very first showing on that Friday. It was like a 10 or 11 a.m. showing, and maybe that's why it was really, really empty. But I heard throughout it just wasn't getting packed.
No, I was like in the middle of the afternoon on Saturday. I think I ended up seeing it on the Saturday, and there was like 3 people in there, 4 people in there, and I'm just like, what is happening?
So I saw it. The movie ended, and I remember just being like, man, that was really good.
Yes.
And my sister and the girl that I was dating at the time, they were like, that was so stupid. And I'm like, what? And again, I feel like a Randy character where I'm like, I'm like, these movies go over your head, right?
Yeah.
You don't understand what's going on with these films. And then they're like, dude, that sucked. I didn't like it whatsoever. Yada, yada, yada.
No.
But this movie, I would like to talk from the very beginning. That opening for me,
genius.
It was so fun.
It was so fun. Exactly.
To do something different, to like do something unexpected like that.
Know,
I thought definitely was the way to go. Like I had so much fun with that opening.
I loved that opening scene to Scream 4 because I love watching it with people that have never seen it, i.e. my brother. So, the beginning with who is it? It's Trudy and what's her name? God damn it, man!
Lucy Hale.
The chicks, yeah. I know. I'm like the chicks.
I know. I remember Anna Paquin's the second one.
Yeah. Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell are the second. But the first set of girl, that is something if they ever ask, I would never get because I don't know why I cannot for the life of me ever remember. Who of their names are
and the other one.
Yeah, I remember Trudy.
Trudy.
And Marnie.
Yeah.
No, Marnie. Marnie's
Marnie's
an actual character.
Yeah.
Anyways, so. Having the whole Channing Tatum back and forth, the Facebook stalker and all that, like that back and forth, then mentioning, the torture porn horror. That's the times we were living in at that times where
and that's like how I felt about those movies. Like,
yes,
they're not scary, they're just gross. Like I literally felt that way about like the multiple Saws and things like that.
So
I totally relate.
I know I love the Saw films too, but they weren't horrors for me. It was just
Sherry
getting fucked up. Sherry. I almost said Sherry. Trudy and Sherry. All right. Anywho, but she so yeah, the whole mention that, and then it gets real tense. The first one's obviously real tense when they're, oh, I'm not outside. I'm right beside you. And she gets stabbed immediately. She runs out the door, gets her throat slit. I was like, oh my God, they revealed two Ghostface right away.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I went fucking nuts. And then boom, stab.
You see the stab title. Yeah.
What?
What?
And I love seeing people watch it for the first time because they're like, what the shit? And then I'm like, yeah. And then you see again Kristen Bell and Anna Paquin talking, and then you have the whole thing with them and and boom, she gets stabbed. Did you see that coming? All that stuff. And then stab 7, and my brother's like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, that's exactly the reaction that you needed to have. And I just wish that we can kind of go back in time, put a full theater, first time ever, and having a pack. I'm talking like Avengers Endgame pack to hear that,
to see that,
live, to just see it live,
the layers of
because
that,
I thought it was so great. And then when it finally happens, my brother was
like, wait, is this it?
Wait, is this
it for real?
Is this a real thing? And then you said Scream. I'm like, yeah, it's the real one. He's like, oh fuck, dude. And then but yeah, it's just one of my favorite things about rewatching Scream 4 is literally the beginning. I think it's so great.
No, it's a lot of fun. And I like that, like, we have a kind of excited scream or stab obsessed character who's like,
us.
That's like us.
Yeah,
she's Jenny is like us, literally. Like, explaining to our friend who's like, this is dumb. Like,
this is stupid.
I don't get it. No, this makes no
trust
sense.
Me, I'm going through it right now at work because tomorrow is, it's officially Scream Day tomorrow, and I'm super hyped about it. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'm like so giddy about it, right? Especially hearing how great the reviews for Scream 6 are. Yes. I'm even more excited, and I'm like, can't wait for work tomorrow. I hope work flies, and all this stuff. Yeah. And they're like, dude, how do you like those movies? They're pieces of shit. They suck. And I'm like, sit down right now, please. Let me show you the way. I honestly feel like a religious nut where I'm like, let me talk to you, the good Lord of our Lord and Savior,
give you a Scream pamphlet,
and why these movies are geniuses, right? Yeah. So this is one again that I loved the beginning, and then immediately, right, we get Woodsboro, which was a sight to see. So we haven't been back in 2 movies to Woodsboro,
Yes. Well, first we smear Vaseline all over the lens, and we go to Woodsboro.
Thank you. That's another thing that
this movie had
not
that
crazy.
No,
right?
everyone
because
complains about
one
the
that looks
foggy
off
glow.
to me. It looks
the foggy
weird.
glow of
Like
this movie,
compared to the other ones, it looks like it was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like
so I say the same thing. I'm like, it's the only one that looks super weird to me, like as I'm watching it, right?
Yes,
but whatever. That's minor things that we have to deal with for overall great film in my eyes. But seeing the return to Woodsboro, seeing our girl Sydney, getting introduced to the new characters, and I think the Ghostface calls in this are fantastic.
Yes,
I love them in this movie. He's like kind of off his rocker more than usual on this. He's just very graphic in this one, is scraping off the the meat off the bones,
the bone beneath, and like we got so much gore. We got intestines back.
Yeah,
so, I loved kind of it being more gruesome after 3, really kind of having getting a bit neutered in terms of kind of the gore that they were able to show. I will say this friend group was very weak. Like Kirby saved this friend group.
So that's
I was gonna say Kirby was awesome.
Yes.
So for me, it's that like we were talking about Jennifer Jolie in the third one, or Judy Jurgenstern, and she was my favorite character hands down.
Yes,
in Scream 3.
Everyone
and
fell
then
in love
we
with
get
Kirby,
and then in this one, same thing. Like it was overall Kirby that not saved the movie. I can't even say that. There you go. But I just loved her because she was just, I felt like kind of like ahead of the game, right? Where she was low key a nerd. Even her own friends group kind of didn't know that how into horror films she was. And she was just such a overall badass in this, man. I loved her.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But like the rest of the
Trevor,
like,
forgetful. Yeah, look, it's funny that look
like
Jinx.
they're trying to make him this like Billy
Loomis,
like to invoke that, and no, he was so dry. Like he was terrible. Olivia, obviously, just somebody for the kill count, right?
Yeah, exactly. She did have one of the gnarliest deaths. In the franchise.
Yeah,
I heard we get some gnarly ones in this
blood all over the room,
splattered everywhere.
Yes.
So I feel like it was one of the most graphic ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like even going back to the first one. No, I completely disagree with that. I completely disagree.
Now, Nicolette, you said you had a controversial.
Nicolette, you take it back. You take it back.
I'm going to be doing a Ghostface ranking video on my channel, and Charlie's not going to be anywhere near the top.
No, all right. So again, you know what? We'll since we're talking Ghostface, let's just jump ahead. I didn't see Jill coming. I did not see Jill coming at all. I saw Charlie coming a mile away. Even with the whole tied chair thing, I'm like, it's a setup. It's him. Don't believe him. This whole shit. And then there was the whole reveal where they kill Kirby, which pissed me.
Oh my gosh! And he was such a whiny bitch about it.
You pay attention to me now. Fuck you.
He was such a whiny little bitch, and then he died like a little bitch. Like he was just a little bitch.
He was a bitch.
Did not like it.
So yeah,
was he a bigger bitch than Roman though?
I mean, Roman
was a better Ghostface than Charlie, in my opinion.
Yes, and he had reasons. He had reasons. He had fair reasons for being a bitch. Like,
exactly.
Being abandoned by his mother, and Sydney getting all the things he didn't have, and like I get that. Charlie had no reason. He was just a whiny high schooler. He was just
like, you know what, man, I like.
The girl didn't like me. Yeah.
That's pretty weak.
And trying to bill himself as Randy, like, no, you don't even touch Randy. Like, just stop.
Yeah, dude. There. So for me, he was. I like Charlie as a character before the reveal.
Until he got, really whiny. And thinking he was really cool.
Then he reverted to the whiny little bitch. I do love the fact that one of the two killers jumps on turns on the other one, and goes ahead and like I didn't see that coming initially, to be honest with you, at all. And I was like, oh wait, so this is a whole nother layer. So we had one killer in 3.
Yeah.
And now we have one killer turning on the other killer.
Just pretty much Loomis. Remember, Miss Loomis kind of turned her back on Mickey. Turned on Mickey because she ends up shooting him, saying like that whole motive, blaming the movies is not. That's not it. Come on, this is my old-fashioned revenge.
Yeah.
That's fair, but I felt like this was planned from like the jump. I don't know. I
And
felt like
it made-
Billy's mother wasn't. Like I felt like she kind of like decided that along the way, like fuck this guy, I'm gonna kill him now. I felt like this was part of the plan from the beginning.
For Jill.
For Jill, yeah.
I think it made her more believable for me because like when she first kind of revealed herself, it felt very like mustache twirly, like really chewing the scenery, like trying a little too hard to like, I'm this cute innocent girl, but I'm evil now. Like her first beginnings of her reveal felt very kind of not convincing to me. And then it wasn't until like she killed Charlie and she's kind of giving her monologue to Sydney, and then she like literally throws herself into being a villain that like it got me behind her. But it took me a minute. So it wasn't really until I saw that turn against Charlie that I was like, okay, like I'm kind of believing her as really effed up, like really messed up and really just so fame hungry that nothing else matters to her. Yes, like
clout, and not only that, it was the perfect timing because you see this movie now, you're like, and she says it, you know, everybody does stupid shit to just get on the internet. We live in these fucking times.
Yes,
now,
I don't need friends. I need
I don't
fans.
need friends. I need fans. That whole thing, that whole way of thinking was, I feel, ahead of its time because this was early on. I'm not saying social media was invented right there and then, but it was still in the beginning of everything.
Fairly new. Yeah,
it was very new. And now you have your TikTok famous people, your Vine famous people, your IGs, wherever you platform or whatever. And I feel like she was just so ahead of the game, and that's why I loved her so much.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't see her coming, and then at first I was just like, "Oh, the Sydney." I'm like, "That's kind of stupid." But then it happened.
Right.
So I was just like, "All right, another whiny fucking bitch." All Ghostfaces overall are fucking whiny little bitches, right?
Yes, but when she was like throwing herself into
when
the walls,
she grabbed when she shot Trevor in the dick, I was like, "What the fuck?"
I also wanted to know how she was going to explain that.
Yeah,
like as part of her like whole thing.
I
like,
guess,
like
self-defense type thing.
So she shoots him, then she shoots him in the head right after that. Then obviously, she stabs Sydney, right? Yeah, she kills.
Yeah, so Sydney's like on the ground, like passed out,
and then she grabs Trevor's hand and scratches herself, rips her hair out, it smashes into a wall with a knife.
Yes.
Psychotic.
Throws herself again into the wall, and then
psychotic. And
I'm like, she's the craziest Ghostface we've got.
Yeah, she is. And if you ask my daughter who the craziest Ghostface is, if you ask, I want to FaceTime her right now and be like, "Who's the craziest Ghostface?" She'll be like, "Jill. She's crazy," because she was like, "What is she doing?" I'm like, "She's nuts."
Yes, this is how important fame is to her, that she's going to, and even like at the end of all of that, she still crawls over to Sydney and like copies the position that she's laying in to like be just like her, to steal that spot, to steal that shot. Yes, people don't think about. I don't think people see her in that context.
Yeah. No, that's why a lot of people like, the reveal. No, it wasn't.
Because she's not manic about it. She's more calculated about it, and just the extreme that she's willing to go to just for fame is totally insane.
I thought I think she's a great addition to Go. She was so great. I loved Emma Roberts in this role. And even when she was playing, good girl Jill throughout, you like her character and her kind of like tiptoeing around, how do you handle this fame and all. I'm like, bro,
this is miserable.
Bitch. Yeah, like, how do you like that? And I'm like, you fucking psycho.
And I bet you, how excited was she when Trevor snuck into her room and Sydney's just looking at her and she's like, "You just remind me of me." How excited must she have been and had to like hide that in that moment? Like,
no, absolutely.
Once you know about Jill, going back on rewatches, you definitely see her like throughout the film, like how calculating and twisted she must have like really been.
Yes.
Guys, you got to give me 1 minute. I have to do something. Just keep talking. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. I'm gonna pop you.
Oh, you said it.
So I think there was Nicolette has a comment in here that I don't think is as controversial as she might think is. Controversial opinion. I love Scream 4 more than 3.
I think most people do.
I absolutely am on board with that.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely put 4 above 3 for me. It was a great return after so long. The characters feel very much where they would be this many years later. Gale and Dewey, them in Woodsboro being married, Gale kind of being miserable and stuck, Dewey really thriving because this is like his home, this is where he belongs, her really struggling with kind of jealousy against Sydney, him not letting her help. Like all of that felt very real to these characters if like they had gotten married and all of that. So I loved that there was this attention to really make these characters still feel like who they were. So I loved that for this movie, coming back so many years later and just really making sure to remind us of who these people are. And it felt just like a natural progression, after so long. So definitely not a controversial opinion.
No, not at all. I think that's seems to be the consensus here.
Yeah.
Even though on some of those weird rankings I was talking about that I've seen on other sites, like it's all over, and that's why I'm like so fascinated to get yours and Jada's input on that. Once we wrap this part of it up.
Yeah.
But I also thought, like Dewey becoming the sheriff now and going back to the force, I thought was like really cool.
Yeah.
That was nice that he got to do that, and he's got a new deputy because they introduced.
Yeah, he's got somebody who's trying to give up them lemon squares, like
like she was like all about doing
aggressive.
Wow. Seriously,
cheat on your wife if you eat my lemon square.
Wow.
Yeah, she wasn't leaving much to the imagination.
No, not at all. And I do love the fact that she returns in Scream 5. Like I thought that was cool that they used one of the new characters they just introduced in this.
I didn't really care for them trying to like red herring her and just making her. They really tried to make her seem like she could be one of the killers, but instead it just made her feel very creepy, just like stalking Sydney in the dark and talking about high school and how they did this play together. Like all of that just felt weird instead of like red herring for the character. So I like that she comes back in 5 and we get a little bit of a better depiction of Judy as a character. But yeah, I liked Dewey kind of in his element in Woodsboro.
Now, you being like eagle-eyed with these films, I also wanted to see some here because me and my wife were talking about this the other day on the rewatch. And number one, she swears she never saw this movie. And I'm like, no, we definitely saw it in the theater. Yeah, no, she's out of her mind at this point.
Yeah.
She's like, where is Dewey's limp in this movie? Like, seems to be a little absent.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. So, I always like try to reconcile things in my mind.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that because that was my justification until I rewatched 5.
Yes. So I don't think they really mention it, but like, I just assume, years of physical therapy, working on it, training, exercise. I'm sure he was doing things in these past 10 years to help curb the limp, I would assume.
But it returns in Scream 5. Because we got to call it. They called it Scream. So.
But you have to realize this is a Dewey who's not taking care of himself.
Okay,
who is
all right.
Drinking, who's not on the force anymore, who's depressed at the loss of Gale, and he's just not active, really doing much. So it's safe to say he could revert back to some old ailments, considering he's not really taking care of himself. In his
all right, I'm going to say you won me over on this. Dr. G, you won me over on this. No problem.
I could find ways to make even the most problematic things in this franchise work.
And not even too problematic. Because
what I miss? What I miss?
Well, we're talking about Dewey's limp that
how his
disappeared in 4.
So I had to be like, 10 years of physical therapy. He's the head of the force, so he's got to training, and I'm sure he worked on it to really be a good authority figure in all of these things. And then his limp kind of comes back in 5, and so I had to be like, well, this is a Dewey he's not taking care of himself, so it would make sense that all his old ailments might return because this is a Dewey he doesn't really care anymore. Whereas 4's Dewey is in charge and really wants to be at the top of his game, so he's going to be doing physical therapy and taking care of himself.
Man.
Yeah.
So we're so happy for Sheriff Dewey, and he's got Deputy Hicks and stuff, and how she was throwing herself at him the entire movie.
Got young hotties throwing themselves at you.
Yeah. So again, I love this one. I feel like this one definitely gets better with every rewatch, every single one. And it's crazy because so Janine and I we do trivia and all that stuff, and there's certain friends of ours that do a specific like Scream 4 trivia, Scream 1, Scream 2, all that stuff. And I think we did only Scream 2 against each other, right? Did we do 3 as well?
We did 4. I thought we did.
No,
Did you?
no, I
You didn't
definitely didn't do
4? Are you
4
sure?
because I wasn't. Yeah, I couldn't do it on the date,
Oh
but I
yes,
remember
yes.
telling you, I'm like, oh, I'm not too savvy with this one. I think I saw Scream 4 in theaters that one time, and then when it came out again, like on Blu-ray or whenever, I bought it, but I didn't watch it as many times for some reason. So I saw it again. It wasn't until I think we did the trivia, I want to say, so about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, where I really did a deep dive into this movie.
Yeah.
And there was a week straight where I saw it every day because, again, more background noise and everything, but I was just picking up little things. Again, you have like Principal Hembry, very
the bust. You see a
yeah.
bust of Principal Hembry in the hallway, so like he's
quick,
not forgotten.
He's not forgotten and all that stuff. Again, we're in Woodsboro High and all that.
Yes, and like the Stabathon, like this felt really real to these kids.
Oh my
so
God.
many years later,
Janine,
they would be so far removed from these events that really happen to people in their town. They would be so far removed from it that they would be kind of celebrating and cosplaying as Dewey and
Dewey
Gale.
said it. Remember, he says one generation's tragedy. What is it? I don't know the exact line. It's not coming to me right now.
Is another's joke, right?
Yeah, something like that. Like we went through all this bullshit, and these kids
and now it's just like a story that people kind of have fun with and get silly with. And I think even Jenny says it, like, at least Woodsboro's known for something. So these younger people can be so far removed of these like real events that happened and traumatize people that they can just be having parties about it and talking about it like they are just movies and forget that like there's real people involved until now. Until now it's really happening. So I like that all of that felt very real to life, that like that's how these younger people would feel about this kind of big tragedy that happened in their town. Having something like the Stabathon was a really fun thing. I think
it happened. Really cool. So two things before we jump in. That I owe you a public apology, and I told you I was going to give you this public apology because I was so sure of it. Right, I was so sure that when we were watching Scream 2, that we said that it was, as we were talking about Scream 2, when Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps are walking
in the theater
towards their seat, that I said it was directed by Robert Rodriguez. And you're like, are you sure? And I'm like, I am sure. I just saw that movie.
I was recently. Like, I'm pretty sure we don't see that until Scream 4.
And it was
that's true.
4. I told her, because funny enough, after we finished the show, my brother was like, oh, what did you guys talk about? Oh, Scream 1 and 2. And he goes, that's when he was like, yeah, we got to watch those before the movie comes. I'm like, you know what? Let's start it today. So after our show is when I saw, and we saw it back to back, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I'm watching 2, and I was going to record it and send it to you. How sure I was. And it didn't happen. And I immediately wrote to her, and I'm like,
you were right.
You were right. And I'm so sorry, because I was so sure of it. But it's in this movie when we get Stabathon that you see directed by Robert Rodriguez. Which, like we said in the last show, was attached to direct Scream Once Upon a Time before Wes Craven took it.
Yes.
So Stab again, and you know what? It's kind of again, this movie was made 10 years ago, and you had that line 10 years ago. And I know there's a deleted scene that when they say that, that's one of the only times that Dewey mentions Tatum, and he goes,
because that's a big thing with fans. That
I kind of hate that they took that out.
Yes, because that's a huge thing with the Scream fans, that like we really didn't see Dewey take a moment to be sad about Tatum's death, or acknowledge her, or acknowledge like the loss of his sister. So I like that 5 in subtle ways did try to like reconcile that. So we see Tatum's ashes on his shelf. I think the fact that he's so receptive to help Sam is because she almost lost her sister. So that's really tapping into even her line, like, my sister was stabbed 7 times. I know you know what that's like. So really, and then, the look on his face. So I like that in little ways they tried to kind of reconcile that for fans. So I was really bummed, seeing that scene.
That out. And I didn't see that until maybe, again, like I was started watching the deleted scenes. I'm like, why did
Mhm.
they take this out?
Yeah.
It's such a subtle, a little sub, but it would have meant so much for so many people. Just
Yes,
for him
to
to
see
finally
him really,
acknowledge, like,
you
hey,
know,
like, yeah.
the loss that
Um,
he suffered that he doesn't really talk about at all or acknowledge at all.
but that line that he throws out there, like, one generation, the whole thing. It's
Yeah. Mhm.
if you think about it, again, this movie came out, what, 12 years ago now?
Yeah,
11,
2011.
It's
11 years,
2011.
12.
So
Yeah,
yeah. Wow,
yeah,
that's
right.
crazy.
We can do math, right?
Yeah,
Not
hopefully.
me.
That's crazy though. It is 12 years. 12
It's
years
12
old.
years. It's 12 years old already, right?
Yeah.
But look at us now watching Jeffrey Dahmer documentaries, and kind of like, yo, did you see the new Dahmer? And
Yeah,
everybody's streaming this shit,
people like over
and the
here talking about how hot he is, and
yeah, and all that shit, and then all of a sudden you get obviously the victim's family saying, why the fuck did this release? Why did you award this
yeah,
man for playing? And again, that's neither here nor there, because the man had a job and he's doing his job. You know,
yeah,
did he portray a monster? Absolutely. Did he do a good job portraying that monster? Yeah, it was scary. Like that
yeah,
series for me. I remember getting so uncomfortable after watching that first episode that I didn't jump into episode 2 right away. It took me like 2 days to be like, all right, let me jump back into this. I had to take it in like little bits, right?
yeah.
But
But people making thirst memes about it, and them even making this and not consulting or talking to the family members, like that's them really focusing on, like, being so far removed of it that they forget that these things happen to real people, just like we're seeing in this movie.
yeah, so I feel like, again, it's something that from a movie that happened 12 years ago, and it's things are still.
Still kind of,
That's why I
yeah,
feel like
So they're
this
going
movie
very
was
Simpsons
so
like in predicting
ahead,
the
yeah,
future.
so ahead of its
yeah.
time, though.
Mhm.
For that reason, like, if you talk again, the clout chasing, every little thing in this film I felt was so ahead. And that's one of my main like what I defend about this film, because when people were first watching it, I'm like, that went over your head to like an extreme where
Yeah,
from the moment I saw this, I'm like, this is it's
I
just a
got that. Yeah, it made sense to me.
genius film.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because I feel
Yep.
like at this point, this Scream 4 seems to be like the forgotten Scream in some ways, because it comes out like almost a decade after 3, and then like now a decade later, and then 5 comes out. And then you're like, wait, that's right. This one came out and it was actually really good. And why did
people
it take
slept
so
on it.
long
It
for
was,
5
I
to
think
come
it was
out?
the one that underperformed the most, right? If I'm
It
not
did.
mistaken.
Yeah.
That's the one that
And
underperformed the
just
most.
very heartbreaking in the fact that this was Wes Craven's last movie.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, it just makes me sad that, like, the last time we would see this creative team kind of come together, and people just didn't get it at the time.
And I think that's why they didn't really jump into another sequel after this one, because
Yeah, I
it just
mean,
didn't do
even
well.
Kevin, he had reservations when Radio Silence kind of approached him. Nev Campbell, all of them were just like, I don't think I can
I
do
can't
this
do this
without Wes.
without Wes.
And
Yeah.
then when they kind of, they wrote letters to them and talked to them about how much Wes meant to them, and how, it was important to them to honor him and honor his vision. And, those movies, his movies, this franchise made them want to make movies in the first place. That really kind of got
And they
everybody
sent
on
him the
board.
script,
But
and he was like,
yeah.
how can I say no?
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. So it definitely was kind of the driving force in making everybody kind of want to do this without Wes. But yeah, just really kind of sad that this was the last time we were going to see Wes directing, Kevin writing, and like our core 3 together. And like, people just didn't come out and celebrate that at the time. But
all right.
But yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, let's drop the second Scream trivia now for the second pass for Scream 6. JD, you got something for Scream 4 ready?
I mean, I think hers was so great that now I don't want to use what I did.
Oh no, go!
Oh my God,
go
you've been intimidated.
Yeah, you got it. No, that was such a great question. That was such a great question. I loved it.
Pressure's on, dude.
Kind of based off Scream 4, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? The ones that I have, I think we like spoiled on this episode already. Let me see what we have.
Or Janine got one like in her mind.
I mean,
right now,
I gotta have one in my head.
Go ahead.
But it's hard. It's hard. It might be a little hard.
Let's go. Go ahead, Janine. Go. All right. So
Okay.
listen, if you're checking it out, here we go. Here's your chance.
What is the title of Sydney's book?
All right. So what is the title of Sydney's book? So first viewer to go ahead and drop us a comment will win the second Scream pass from Pop Culture Pros. But we also had a comment we wanted to get to regarding Scream 4 from our first winner. So Nicolette, who's asking, can we please talk about Kirby and her character coming back now? So Janine, without spoiling this, because you've seen Scream 6.
She has seen Scream 6. Goddamn, look at Nicolette on it. You get 2 cents.
I feel like this isn't the question, but
take some friends. Take some friends.
All right, so Nicolette, there you go. You're gonna get both passes for Scream 6. So congratulations. I felt like you knew that. I don't think that's a question mark here, but go ahead. So there you go. You and a friend get to go ahead and enjoy Scream 6 this weekend, courtesy of Pop Culture Pros. But we're also going to let's get back to your question here. So, all right, can you talk about it without spoiling it, or not really?
Yes, I can talk about it. So yes, I have seen Scream 6. I will say Kirby is a little badass in this movie. I love her.
She's back, baby. She's back.
Yes. And we do get a moment where she is still shown to be a huge horror fan. So yes, Kirby is very much the Kirby that we know and love. And a tough little badass. So,
you're holding back so much, and I can tell
so
much.
I would appreciate this.
I want to say,
as we're on, as co-hosts,
so much more.
Yes,
we do get a good moment where she is spouting her horror movie knowledge, maybe with another character who has horror movie knowledge.
So that's I kind of wanted to ask that question because I'm like, is it a spoiler? Is it not? Do we get them together? We do.
We do.
Yes. Hell yeah.
And I guess
and they have a cool little vibe moment. It's great.
And Nicolette's questioning, like, how is she back? So in Scream 4, we can
just say if they mention it or not, how she comes back. Like, why? Because again,
well, I mean, it's in the trailer. She does say she's investigating the Ghostface killings. So she's an FBI agent who comes in to help with the case. And she obviously takes a special interest.
Yeah, of course. Yes. That's awesome. No, she was so great, and I was so pissed when they killed her off because I loved her character.
But Wes, I think her talked about it like that wasn't always. They always wanted to leave it open, and there was always a plan to bring her back. I believe. I want to say.
And I'm so happy they did. It was. I think it is the first time we get a returning character, right? That was Left 4 Dead, because Dewey, you always see him at the end of the movie.
Yes, on the stretcher.
Yeah. You always see Dewey on the stretcher, right? Yeah. And this is the first time where they kind of leave it up in the air, where you're like,
Hicks wasn't Left 4 Dead in this, right?
No, she popped up in her bulletproof vest.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. Okay, I was trying to remember
that. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess from this review, you can tell which one we liked more out of the 3 and 4.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess while we're wrapping this up, then let's give our quick rankings. I guess for now, Jada and I could only do 1 through 5, even though we're going to still talk about 5 in our final episode. Yes, of course. Yeah. Janine, you're going to be on the spot here to give your full 6 rankings, unless you want to wait until next week.
I'll wait.
All right, so we'll just
do it, and then tell me if it changes next episode after the second.
Oh, I mean, I could do that.
Oh, okay.
Do that. Yeah,
wow,
do it
Jada,
as of right now, as Janine right now, and then Janine after she's seen it twice or 3 times. How many times you're gonna see it?
Okay, so Janine, start us off. What are your rankings after the first viewing? So, no pressure.
This is least to best.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
2, 1.
So you enjoyed Scream 6 quite a bit, I can see. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I will say I do have my issues with it, but the opening, incredible, totally different.
I heard
they promised different. We got a lot of different. So
okay. I'm gonna drop mine in though before Jada you get to yours. I'm gonna go top to bottom. So all right, top is still the original. I'll go with Scream. Mm-hmm. Then I'm gonna say Scream 2022, aka Scream 5.
Okay.
then Scream 4, then Scream 2, then Scream 3. Obviously, I've not seen 6 yet, so we'll see how that goes. What? No? These rankings are all over the place, all over the internet, so you can go anywhere. We're also all over.
That's my exact same list.
Wow.
And it changes.
I was not expecting that.
It changes with rewatches. And
okay.
Since my last rewatch, I've enjoyed 4 more than I have 2. But I still, as you saw last episode, very much love 2. But 1 and 5 are my top. I absolutely love 5, and I will gush next episode about this film. I promise you. So I absolutely love 5 because I thought it was the closest thing to the original to me. Like new characters, old legacy characters. I thought the kills. We'll talk about more of that, but I absolutely hold 5 on a very high pedestal. I think more than some, to be honest with you. But I loved everything that Radio Silence did with 5. I in fact, little sneak preview. My brother ended up watching 4 and 5, obviously, on our which is something I wanted to touch base on. When 4 ended, he looked at me and he goes, "This one was fucking great." He goes, "They're back." And, and then he's like, "Yes, dude." So then I was like, you know what? It was almost like 1:30 in the morning, and we both had to work early. And I'm like, I can't leave it off knowing that 5 is next. You have to watch 5 right now. And he's like, fuck it, put it on.
Oh, dang, that's awesome. We ended up watching
5. We saw 3, 4, and 5. Boom, 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 back to back. 5 ends, and he turns around and he goes, "I know you're going to get really mad at me right now. Like, really mad at me." And I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes, "This is my favorite Scream film." He goes, "I think 5 is better than 1. I didn't grow up. He goes, "I didn't grow up with 1." And he goes, "And maybe it's a generational thing, but I just relate so much to Scream 5." And then he he's 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, "This is hands down the best Scream. The suspense was there, the gore was there, characters were there." He just loved 5 so much that he's like, "I am so glad that I didn't have to wait a year to see 6 because now I'm even more hyped for 6." He's like, "I can't wait to come back to the world to these characters." So he loved 5. So for him, his ranking is, I think, 5, 1, 4, 2, 3, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm 1, 5, 4, 2, 3 right now. But 2 and 4 are the ones that always switch depending on my mood. So there's sometimes where my ranking is 1, 5, 2, 4, 3, and then it's 1, 5. But 1 and 5 never change. That I have those at the top.
My 1 and 2 never change. It's 1 and 2, and then 5. 5 was always my third, and now with 6, I think 6 might be above 5.
I'm even more excited for 6 now that you have it that high.
Yes.
Everyone that
I'm excited to talk about it. So I cannot wait.
She told me, she goes, "Can you watch it already?" I'm like, dude, I wish I had the
trying
right now, and I'll go watch it right now. Yes. But everyone has told me the same thing. The opening is by far the best thing we've ever gotten since the original. They're like, it is different, but you're gonna
so different.
Fucking love it. So they told me the opening scene is insane. I heard the kills are gory.
Yes.
And I heard the movie is actually scary, like suspenseful.
It is. It is.
They're like, you're gonna get Sydney in the car, Scream 2 moments in this movie that you're just gonna be like tense. And
yes, I was tense a lot of the times. I was scared. I was like, "Oh my god!" Yes.
So
the edge of my
that's
seat
that's what I want to hear. So that's why I'm so hyped for this movie. Again, I know her gripe. I know what it is. We're not gonna talk about it. And I had similar friends that had the same gripe. But again, I think I told you this before I even talked to my friend, where I'm like, maybe with rewatches it'll get better. You know, so we'll see. But I'm hyped. Obviously, you know. You're gonna see a different shirt every time.
Dude, you're making me want to go get a Scream shirt. Yeah, I think I should.
I know. I have so many shirt I have is this one that I made.
No, man. I have honestly. I think I have like 6 of them, dude. And
wow.
Look.
No, I saw that, dude. I saw that last week. I was feeling that. That's a cool ad, man.
Dude. So yeah, man. I'm hyped. It's always when a Scream movie comes out for me, it's like Christmas or Christmas come early rather. But this one. The word of mouth of 5 was good, but it was still, some people liked it. Some people were like, it's fine. It's a Scream film. This one overall, at least the reactions have been so overwhelmingly positive that I can't help but get excited. I was already excited as is because that trailer was cut to perfection.
Yes.
That trailer was cut to perfection where not even Scream fans were like, that shit looks good as hell. Him in the bodega, with that phone call. You finally get a phone call with Gail. Don't say anything.
Yes, we trust her. We trust her that not to do it. So
so all that, and just seeing like just little things about the call itself. That again, I'm going back to the Gail scene, but when she's like, you're like the 10th guy to do that, you have somebody walking in the background,
and grabbing the guy in the back. Oh.
Yes, all that stuff, and then what I love to hear, it's not, it's not even the gory kills, it's the fact that the movie's very suspenseful and very tense and scary. That's what I'm most hyped about. I'm like, let me see if we have a lot of those oh shit moments, because I remember watching Scream 2 and that car scene with Hallie and Sydney.
Yes, and even the sound studio too. The sound studio with Gail.
The chase scene with Gail. Yep, absolutely. So having that back in this franchise, you can't help but get excited for this. One more day, guys. Well, for us, one more day.
Yes, for us, one more day.
In 24 hours, we would have already seen Scream 5.
And knowing Jada, I'm going to be getting some Facebook messages. We're going to
be absolutely. Oh my god,
I know.
But yeah, I can't wait, man.
Well, again, thanks for checking us out tonight. Janine, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Jada, we'll be back next week. I'm assuming we're going to go ahead. We'll do our final episode of Scream. We'll be talking about Scream 2022, aka Scream 5, and Scream 6. So
no spoilers for Scream 6, guys. So I know we do deep dives. That we're gonna do the exception of not having a deep dive episode right away, so people can watch the film. We're gonna
give it a little time.
Give it a little time
because we want to spoil the shit out of it. So
we will have a deep dive Scream 6 episode, and we're gonna go lose our minds. But this episode, just so you know, we won't be spoiling Scream 6. We're just going to really focus on main details, what we like, what we don't. Very simple, spoiler-free review. Scream 5, we will be spoiling the shit out of it. So again, I've told some friends I want to tune in. They're like, "Oh, I've never seen Scream." Don't tune in. Watch the movies and then tune in. As much, but as always, guys, it was a pleasure. Again,
for sure,
I can talk this shit all day.
I can do this all day.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So come back and check us out next week. And thanks for checking us out on the Facebook live stream. And if you are, be sure to go ahead and join the Pop Culture Pros Facebook group. Join the daily conversation every day. There's trailers and conversations and whatever the heck we want to talk about on there. So be sure to check that out. Checking us out on YouTube, hit subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Twitter, follow at Pop Culture Pros. And Janine, also, you got anything you want to plug for this week?
On Friday, I will be playing Perry Nemiroff in Scream 5 trivia. A face-off on the Video Chronic YouTube channel. So that's going to be fun at 7 p.m. PST. And just check out the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. I have a ton of Scream content looming there in anticipation for Scream 6. I just put out a Scream 5 Easter egg video, so all the fun little nods. I break down the stab cast list that we do get to see in the movie. So check it out on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel.
Okay. So, all right, we will see you next week for our final episode of Deep Dive Scream. All right. We'll be right back.